Alright, hi guys. So I said I was gonna, maybe do an unboxing of the other deck that was gonna come in. But I've already unboxed it and I've already actually used it in, some other readings. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is just show you some of the cards. I have 14 different cards from the deck. There are 44 within the deck, and the deck is the Divine Animal Oracle deck, and I actually really do like this deck. So, like, I like the imagery. I like, like, it's really easy. It's easy to use, at least when I was using it for the couple of readings I was doing for some friends, which I'm not, I got tipped at, I got tipped for them. I didn't, get paid, I didn't get paid, I didn't, like, have a set price, but, they did, give me some money for it, even though I didn't ask for money for them, so so, I am just gonna, I have some 14 random cards that I would like to, just, show you and, maybe talk about. I'm not gonna go into everything. I'm not gonna, go into all my thoughts on the cards because I'm not a professional reader and, I only have a few other decks. Like, I have 2 other decks besides this deck, so I don't think I'm really as qualified as someone who has more decks and is more familiar with, the quality and what should be added or what should be, a part of decks. So, let's just get started so that I can, edit this otherwise. So, the first card I do want to, show you and talk about is the horse card. And at the bottom, it says horse, and then, right above horse, it has a little, like a general word to go with it. So with the horse, it says freedom. And if you can see this card, it's basically a horse, jumping through like a portal or like a doorway, and I picked this card out of the deck because while I'm not really into horses all that much, I do like the fact that horses are, horses are like were a mode of travel for, the most part back in the day, and travel meant freedom to the people, So I do like, and, the horse stepping out of like a portal. The horse stepping out of like a portal into like a different world. It gives an idea of, okay, there is, you're stepping into like freedom. You're stepping into new opportunities so you can explore the world. And with a horse, you can, go longer distances. So riding a horse, you can go much farther and longer. So you're not, you're not just, walking around with your own 2 legs. Yes, you can get around. You can get around a lot. You can get around not using a horse. But with a horse, it's better. And, with nowadays we have like cars, bikes, and other modes of transportation besides using animals to do so. So with that, travel is, a big part of experiencing a sense of freedom. So before I keep going, I'm gonna move on to my next card, and this card is the hyena card. If you can't tell, in the background on, not this side, but the other side, there's hyenas. Now, when I pulled this card out, initially, it kind of reminded me of, the Lion King, where the hyenas were, ousted to the outlands, and on this side, where, they basically didn't really have anything, so they went to the other side right here. But, right above hyena, it says fear, and I really do, okay, so, while I don't really widely connect to this card, I do have thoughts, because not every you have to examine your fears, because not everything is as it seems. Like, you can think about moving forward, but if you're held back by your fears of the unknown, and it could lead to catastrophization of different elements, where moving forward you might be thinking, okay, well, I could be I'm right here, like how I was in my house. I wasn't really fearful of moving. It was just I was comfortable here, and moving was kind of like right here, where I am right now, which I'm fine with, because there is a lot more. I've obviously, I've grown a lot. So instead of being here, at the very beginning of my journey in moving to this shithole, I still call it a shithole, because, it is, and we'll get into that in a different video. But I've grown a lot, and I'm starting to coming into my own and learning a lot too, with developing a spiritual practice. So now I can, instead of going back to here, I can stay in here and keep growing my kingdom of sorts. So like the Lion King. And the hyena, instead of, just being ousted by, the big top dogs, like in Lion King, I now can hold my own. So then I'm not going back into this sort of place. And in a psychological sense, like, change isn't as scary as you think it is. I mean, there are elements of, that, but it doesn't have to be that bad. You can think about the good things that can happen. Think about the good thing, think about the prosperity and other things that can happen when you're changing. It might be a little hard, but it doesn't always have to revolve around, death of everything you love. It can bring in the other new things. So, I think that's all I wanted to say on that. Now, the deer, okay, so the deer is an interesting figure, which I don't know if you can see right here. Oh, maybe, yeah, you can. There's a deer right behind her. Right behind her. And in this, I'm thinking they were drawing from the Greek pantheon of Artemis. I could be wrong. I haven't read the guidebook entirely, so I haven't read anything about the deer. these are just sort of my thoughts and my feelings on the cards themselves, and not so much what the guidebook says. But with the deer, like, I work with Artemis only a little bit, not really, not a lot, but I do work with her a little bit. And in her, like, in her mythology, she's not one to, like, she's not one to, you know, she's just, but she's also, she's not like a nice goddess. She is nice. She's respectable. She's respectable, but if you cross her in any way, she'll just, you know, she has swift judgment, and she'll, you know, take care of you right then and there. And she'll let you know. And deer, right above it, it says power. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it there. Yeah, right there. I'm not gonna do that for every card, but with, you know, she does have immense power in her. She has that confidence. Artemis, and the woman here depicted, you know, standing with her deer antlers and the moon. They do have a lot of power. Power isn't just about, you know, destroying and destruction, but it's also about, like, being empowered. It's about, you know, embodying a sense of sovereignty. So you don't always have to be destroying things. You can create things as well. You can. It's just about, you know, it's about being confident in who you are. And that's what I'm getting from this. And the deer, like stags in general, they're you know, that royal, that they have like a royal look about them with their, you know, their antlers. So it isn't, you know, while you have like really predatory animals who hold that sort of ferociousness, but you also have the deer, which can take care of itself as well. And just like Artemis, she can take care of herself. She has a brother as well, Apollo, but Artemis, she's kind of a bad bitch. She can take care of herself. She doesn't need people to take care of her. She doesn't need her animals to take care of her. In fact, she takes care of the wild as well, and takes care of the animals. And she sees, you know, deer and the wild as a sacred place. And I only have like 30 minutes left, so I gotta get through these. So I didn't charge my camera, which I usually do. I wasn't originally going to include this, but obviously you can see it's the owl. And the reason I included this, because when I read in the guidebook, so the guidebook is set up with the meaning of the card, the mythos that they're drawing from to get that meaning of the card, and some magic that you can use with these cards. So like cardomancy you can use with them, or use the image of the card in your spell workings, which I haven't used, and I don't know if I'm going to use. Probably in the future I might. But I do like the owl because it has a lot of different meanings for me, but in this card, it's, you know, meaning wisdom, and they drew on the, you know, the Greek myth of the Greek goddess Athena with battle and strategy, which I'm a strategist as well, but the way Athena works is that she likes to know, like, the whole picture, and the owl, you know, being able to fly, they have a greater view of the picture. They have a greater overview of the landscape they have that they can cover. So it's not just like walking on the ground and, you know, seeing, oh, here's this, here's this. they can fly above the trees and the other, they can fly above their prey, and they have a better chance of getting what they want with their, not wisdom, because that would be not wisdom, but their sight. And wisdom and sight kind of go hand in hand, because we take in things with our senses, and the eyes for most people are, kind of that we get a lot of information with our eyes, which is, kind of what the owl is telling us, is to look from a different perspective as well. Alright, so the shark right here. Now I have another deck with the shark as well. But okay, so if you know anything about sharks, they have to keep swimming. They have to keep swimming, otherwise they'll drown and they'll sink to the bottom. So they have to, have that constant swimming so they can, filter oxygen, filter water and the oxygen out of the water. Because unlike other fish and other sea life, they use that. They have to use the momentum that for their filtering processes of oxygen out of the water. And I think the shark is just, instead of, swimming aimlessly or walking aimlessly with, out of purpose, the shark, is just saying that instead of, you can keep living and doing what you need to do to survive, but unless you have a purpose, that's all you're going to be doing, is you're just going to be swimming aimlessly. And you're just going to, be surviving, unlike living, because when you have a purpose, you feel more alive. You feel more connected with yourself and more connected with the people around you and the world around you. So I really like this card, even though I don't like sharks. But I do like this card because it's just asking instead of, what do you want to do? Do you want to swim aimlessly and just survive on what you can and doing things to survive, or do you want to look for a purpose? So instead of just swimming aimlessly and without a purpose, you can find your own purpose and make your own purpose. So then you're utilizing what you can to maybe help others, to help yourself. Alright, now I like the card, but I don't like the animal on the card necessarily. So this is a fox, and it says red fox. Now red fox have really gone down in their numbers, because back in the day they were hunted for their fur, for their pelts, because of their astounding color. But they've been hunted. They were hunted a lot. So the animal had to adapt, and they had to find they had to come up with a strategy, not like in a human way, but they've adapted to survive longer, and coming up with strategies to avoid being hunted to extinction, avoid human contact, because humans are, we're kind of destructive. Not kind of destructive. We are destructive as a whole. And we're getting better, but if we want our lives as we know it to continue, we kind of have to find that sort of strategy And we have to, be able to, use what we have, use our knowledge to, formulate a strategy so then we're, not just, succumbing to the whims of others. And I have to plug in my camera somehow, otherwise it's gonna die. So I'm gonna do that. And oh, look at that! I'm now being, okay, is that better? No, because the lighting is fucking terrible. Alright, we're gonna move on to, because the lighting here. Okay, I can do that. I can hold up cards here so they can see, or my hand. Because the lighting is just gonna fuck up everything. But I wonder if I can... No. Alright, we're moving on. Alright. I don't know if I got through everything I wanted to say about the red fox. Probably not. But we're gonna move on to some different card. Either way. So, alright. Alright, here we have the meerkat. And right above meerkat it has the word responsibility. And I really do like this card. They're taking from the animal itself with its aspects. Sorry, I have to do this. They're taking the aspects of the actual animal itself, which, at least that's what I'm getting from the meerkat. There's probably, a mythos that they're, taking from as well. And with the myth, I haven't read the myth yet, that they used to, justify putting the card in. But I think, just having... I'm gonna move over here, so then maybe I can have a... Alright, that works better, so the lighting can stay where it is. But I'm gonna be over here. Alright, so the meerkat, as we can tell, they're taking from it because they all have to work together. They all have to basically work together, and they have to, it can't just be, them. It can't just be one of them. They all have their roles, and they all have to, take turns in basically standing guard and keeping watch, so then they're not just wiped out by a bigger predator. Well, yeah, they're kind of predators. They feed on bugs, don't they? But bigger predators, like, the jaguar, tigers, and other predators that, live in their natural habitat as well. And hyena, I guess. And so it's basically just telling you that, hey, if you want to get what you want in the world, if you want to do that, you have to take responsibility for yourself. You have to take responsibility. Otherwise, you're gonna succumb to the world around you, and it's just gonna be, torture. And it's gonna consume you. And in a group setting, everybody has their responsibilities as well. And so it's also probably telling you, hey, you know what? While you have your certain responsibilities, and others have responsibilities, it's important to take turns as well in switching out roles, so you're not getting too tired in that one role, and you're not letting yourself grow and progress, because within management you have to be able to do pretty much all the jobs to a certain extent. So whether that be asking others to train you in that job, it's your own responsibility to make sure you know how to do it. you know how to, work with others and work, to be the best you can be. So dog. This is the dog card. And I like it, but I don't like it. I feel like they could have, they could have, oh, they actually, no, never mind. I didn't look at it long enough. I just noticed this right now. They're standing, the two figures, the dog and the hunter, are standing on the snout of a dog. And I literally just fucking noticed this right now. So I do like that. But at first glance, your eyes are only drawn to the small figures of the dog and the hunter in the back. And with the dog, it has companionship to go with it, and which makes sense because we as humans, bred dogs so we can have them to help us with hunting, with other things we might need that maybe humans would get in the way of, but dogs can help us out because dogs are, they're bred to please their masters, but I think as we got on, instead of it just being a working relationship between humans and dogs, there's also the aspect of, creating a closer bond than just a working relationship. Which working relationships are fine, but if you can work, deeper and closer with your partners, you can create that, companionship. So I do like, and hunters and dogs, hunting hounds, like they work side by side, not just to get their prey so they can both eat, but to protect each other as well. So the hunter will protect their dogs, and the dogs in return will protect their masters. And I think that's all I have to say on the dog card, which I'm trying my best here, okay? If you can't tell. Alright, the jaguar is one of my favorite animals. Like, I know lions and lions and tigers are, my astrology. So I really work closely with them, but I also like the jaguar. Now, with this card, it's, it's not totally to my liking, and I understand their myth. I understand, why they went with this and went with release instead of, maybe like with the mythos that comes along with this card. It's, talking about a goddess in the Mayan Aztec pantheon of a female goddess. Sorry. Why am I saying a female goddess? A jaguar goddess of, fertility and birthing. Whereas I more connect to a jaguar, more masculine jaguar presence. So, instead of it being, both of them have release aspects. But this jaguar is, more bringing things into the world and releasing that pain and going into labor. Whereas I more connect with a more masculine aspect of reclaiming and standing up for what you want in that jaguar. But I do like the jaguar in both aspects because without life, you can't have the death aspect, and without death, you're not having life. So you can take this both ways. So in release, you have to release you're gonna have to release something. So then you can, bring something else into the world. So, whether it be maybe your sort of freedom, the freedom that you knew where you could just, do whatever you want, but now you're releasing that aspect of freedom to bring in like a child. While you still have a freedom to do things, you're now taking care of someone else. So, and the Jaguar aspect I work with is on the more masculine side of claiming something and getting more what you want out of life, rather than releasing things. Yes, I had to release some things, but I also wanted to claim something for myself so I can get something out of it. So I can get a more satisfaction out of my life as it is now. Alright. Now, ravens and other blackbirds like crows is a very interesting, because blackbirds like ravens and crows, they come up throughout different mythologies. With Irish, they come up with being messengers to the messengers of the gods, like the Morgan. And in the Nordic tradition, with Odin, they have ravens and crows as well, which I'm not getting into, because I'm not in that tradition. I don't work with that tradition, or work within that tradition. So I can't really tell you much about it. But with crows, working with the Morgan, it says news. And when I originally pulled this card in a reading, I kind of attributed it to, news. Okay, what do I know about news? Okay, well, here's like our aspect of the news in a mundane sense of those annoying people talking about the news, like everything's bad, everything's, going to shit, in which we already know this. We don't need to watch news constantly to know this. But in a mythopoetic understanding of news and how they got their news in the mythology, it's with messengers. And working with, spirits or deities, they're the way they, get news to their devotees or their followers, or just people who work with them. Like, I'm not a devotee, but I do work with the Morgan. I'm not one of her devotees, but I do work with her. And the way they, if they have a message for us in this physical plane, they're gonna use different tactics, like synchronous signs that are synchronistic. So something that will come up over and over and over, and it's up to us to figure it out. If, hey, is that a sign, or is that just something that happens, or is that just something that's gonna happen in a mundane sense? So if I have seen a crow before. I've seen a crow before, obviously. But as a synchronistic sign of her trying to get my attention, like, hey, do this, do this, do this. Hey, I'm trying to get your attention. She might send maybe one of her messengers, like a crow or a raven. Or in like a mundane sense, like maybe I see a crow hanging out where I am usually. Or it might be on Instagram. Or it might be maybe on a TV or a Netflix or a Hulu show I'm watching. And it's kind of out of the blue, like, okay, well, that's something I'm taking note of. I'm taking note of it, like, in my mind, like, okay, that's interesting. But if it keeps happening over and over, I might check in and use like divination, cards like these, or I might use tarot cards, which my tarot cards are on my main altar space in the way back. So I might use divination to figure out, hey, is this a sign? Are you trying to get my attention? Or is it, just something that happens and, let's just move on. Which I have done. And it has, it wasn't something connected to any sort of sign. It's just something that happens. Which was, it was fine. I didn't, nothing really happened of it. Alright, so let's move on. Alright, so the butterfly. Now, butterflies to me, which is the soul. So, the only real connection I have with this is that it's from a familial standpoint. Now, my mother, has a real connection with butterflies as a sign from her mother, who has since now passed, that whenever she sees butterflies, she thinks of her mother. And and there's also some a metamorphosis aspect, but butterflies as symbols of a symbol of spirit coming back to us and telling us, letting us know that they're okay, or they're there in spirit. They may not be there physically, but they're, letting us know that, hey, you know what, we see, you're, in this moment, we're with you. And they might send butterflies as their messengers to just, as a more comforting sign, rather than crows, which they can be comforting as well if you work with, this type of energy, but with more spirit from ancestor or spirit from past loved ones. This could be more comforting to you. And I think it works, both ways. I think it works both ways, where you can, have these two aspects. So if you're, looking to connect with maybe a past loved one, and they're trying to get your attention for whatever reason, and this card comes up, you know that you need to be looking for, you need to be looking for signs, synchronistic signs, to, so they can get an idea of what's going on, or what they're trying to get out, what they're trying to, convey to you. Now, I didn't originally put this card in the cards I wanted to look at, but I put it in just because I like the loyalty on here. Now, I don't know anything about the red-crowned crane, so I have to go. I'm gonna have to go to the book and reference the book, but I do like it. And it looks like, this woman is sleeping and, maybe turning into a red-crowned crane. Red-crowned crane. But let's see what the book has to say about it, or at least, somewhat. So maybe we can get something out of it. Cause I didn't look into it. Okay, so it says loyalty. The time has come to re-examine your loyalties. Are you able to be trusted, or keep your word if you if you give it. Take relationships slowly and make sure to build strong connections. And what promises have you made and must keep? So the mythos is from a Japanese story, which I'm not going to go into because it's a lot. But if you know anything about Japanese mythology, you're probably gonna understand, you know, the significance of the red crown crane within the story. So, alright, but the animal itself, the red crown crane is a very rare, elegant bird of East Asia. It is migratory. It's found in Japan, Korea, Russia, Mongolia, and China. The red patch on its head appears during mating season. The red crown crane is also a mythological bird to the Japanese. Such it is its sacredness, and it is widely and informally depicted in art, and especially paintings and ink drawings. Once a mate is found, the pair bond through graceful dances, haunting, fluting calls. These highly ritualized movements continue to strengthen the connection as life goes on. Once hatched, the babies are looked after by the parents for over 9 months. They are one of the world's longest living birds. A healthy adult is in the wild could live for an average of 30 to 40 years, with those in captivity regularly living for over 50 years. The oldest cranes have lived for 70. Cranes are referred to as, I have no idea how to say the word in Japanese, are said to live for 1,000 years and lovingly mate for life. So they're birds that mate for life. So that's one of the reasons they probably added this besides their mythos as well, and their connection to, you know, that loyalty, thus making them a profound symbol of fidelity, loyalty, and longevity as well. So, and in the magic section, they say crane magic is about loyalty and steadfastness. In this world of instant gratification and short attention spans, which we do have short attention spans, but I can also say that, you know, a lot of people, I'm not going to say most or all people, definitely not all people, the idea of loyalty beginning to be a lost ideal, which I wouldn't necessarily say that, you know, you have to stay with someone in a marriage contract, you have to stay with someone forever, because marriages and people can change. It doesn't mean you're any less loyal to them. It doesn't mean you don't have the same feeling. It doesn't mean you don't have that same feelings bond with them. But it just means that maybe the contract isn't working for you anymore, and you either need to break that, you either need to go back and renegotiate that contract, or you need to change the way you're working with that contract, and you need to communicate that to your partner or partners if you're in a polyamorous or polygamous relationships as well. Which I don't have a problem with. As long as it's consensual, why would I have a problem with it? I only have a problem with it if it doesn't include consent of everybody involved. That's the only time I personally have a problem with it. Other than that, I don't care. Ooh, the jackal. Now, I don't work with Anubis or jackals, but truth. I love truth. truth can be used in so many ways. It can be used to, for that blow of, knocking a narcissist on its ass. Or truth can also be, used to, shed light on things. And bringing things in. Like the objective truth, which I like objective truths. I like subjective truths too, but I like the objective truth. So I didn't get all the way into. I think Anubis is in the back. I'm gonna refer to him as Anubis, or the card as Anubis, rather than Jackal or Truth, because I don't know, I just like it. Okay, so the Truth card. Authenticity is important. Live your truth fearlessly. Someone around you is not telling you the truth. Listen, I understand that. Do not fear what you cannot control. Which I understand that. We will all leave a legacy, so you should consider what this might be for you. Death is a part of life. Now, death in tarot it just means a change. It just means a change that you're moving on for. Now, these are oracle cards, but they're, it's not like a death of a loved one or death like in that aspect or something like that. Maybe it is something you really care about that has to be, that has to die, or it has to die for other things to bring in as well. So, for me, death, it has been a part of, what's been going on in my life for these past 3 years, 3 years now. So, that connection to death. First it was Sassy and her murder. Then it was the death of my freedoms and happiness with the stupid bastard and that bitch Kathy as well. So, killing off, some form of that happiness and freedom to, just be myself without it, being death to maybe not happiness, but more contentment. I was happy being content. I wasn't, and, they had to come along because they had their own agendas to, sleep around and be a hoe, or to be a misogynistic piece of shit and tell women they have to stay in emotionally abusive relationships so they can, get the glory of God bestowed upon them. So, but now I found something new. I found something new that is giving me, a sense of not contentment, but a sense of something satisfying to fill up my life again. So then I can move on and do better things. So then I can, not move forward, not move on from them, because I'm never going to move on from them in their aspect, in those sort of aspects. I'm always going to think of them, oh, they're shitty people, they're shit, and those are shitty ideals to hold on to. But, now I have a better way of taking care of, those feelings when they come up, or those people if they come back into my life. I have a better way of, removing them from my life and, dealing with them. Not removing, dealing with them. Because I'm not going to probably remove them in a way that, most people would like. Alright. I really just pulled this card because in my Chinese zodiac I am a tiger. So, I was born in 1998, which, you know, you guys probably know that by now. But I was born in 1998, so the year of the tiger. So that's really the only reason I pulled this card out. And it's, you know, I like it. Alright. So, this is the lion card. And I'm going to check the card and actually see if it actually mentions Sekhmet. Because I do work with her as well. Sekhmet is an Egyptian goddess. So, protection. And which, it has the word protection under it too. So I'm not just making shit up. So, I want to see if it actually, you know, mentions her as well. If it doesn't, that's kind of stupid. And I think they missed the point. You are stronger for that. Okay. Egyptian god. Oh, it does. So it does. In the mythos, in many temple artworks, the lion-headed Egyptian goddess Sekhmet strides powerfully towards the pharaoh. She's a protective goddess of the pharaohs in Egypt and the leaders. So yeah. Effectively providing security and physically safeguarding them, particularly in times of war. So you can see why I, you know, chose her as one of my deities that I would like to work with. Because I was in a war with, you know, those bitches. And yes, if you don't like the word bitch, just think of it as a female dog. Bitch, it doesn't mean like a derogatory term for, you know, women or men. It just means a female dog. So, which is not, I mean, the way I use it to, you know, I guess I use it in both ways, but, oh well. After winning a terrible battle, Sekhmet maintained her battle rage and bloodlust. She looked around her and wished to still kill and spill blood. I'm reading from the book. The people trembled and the gods noticed. The god Ra turned the Nile red so that it looked like blood, invited Sekhmet to quench her thirst there. She drank and drank. Okay. But the river was not blood but beer. So she basically got drunk. She got drunk on her own power, then she got physically drunk. So then the gods can, you know, take care of her more easily. Now I don't drink, not because I abstain from drinking. I just don't like the taste of alcohol. That's the only reason why I don't drink. Because my 21st birthday is when I actually had my first drink. And I just didn't like the taste of alcohol. Plus, I ate too much. And then I started drinking on top of that, and it didn't really go well. That's the only reason I don't drink. Not particularly because of anything else like that. That's the only reason I don't. But with Sekhmet, you know, I did have that aspect of, you know, that bloodlust or that rage-induced bloodlust to, you know, get what I want, to really, you know, tear them apart, not in a physical sense, but you know, just to really hammer home that, hey, you fucked with me and my family. Now, okay, this is your punishment. And I moved on from that. At least, you know, for now. But if they ever do it again, then they're gonna have me and, you know, a goddess like her to contend with. Which, I don't know. Do they want to deal with that, or do they want to just be good little bitches and sit and stay quiet? I would say they should probably do that. Alright, fierceness. Okay, this is the Wolverine, which I really like this card. I in my other deck, in the other deck it has, the Wolverine in it, and it basically has, the same sort of message that it has. And while Wolverines in their natural habitat are smaller creatures, they're in that habitat, they are, very fierce. They can take down bigger animals than themselves because of their ferociousness. And they can really, they can tear people up. They can, not people, they can tear their prey apart. Which is really why I like this card. And because it, it really depicts that, that fierceness, that warrior type fierceness, and the animal aspect. That even if you're, smaller than your opponent, you have a chance of taking them down. You have that spirit of the Wolverine and that aspect as well, because it's not just about your physical prowess, it's about, how much you want it, how much are you willing to go for it. Alright. So the wolf. I think it's very interesting that the wolf is authenticity. That it's, relaying it. I didn't read anything about it, and I don't think I'm going to read any more of this book right now to you guys. But I do like, when I think of the wolf and authentic, I think of the lone wolf. Now, usually the lone wolf is probably ousted by the pack, so it's, basically, they were basically the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the totem pole, or the pack order. And then they were, ousted by the pack itself for whatever reason. The wolves, I don't, as humans, we're probably not going to know. But, being a lone wolf, you have more freedom to be your authentic self. You can do what you want. You're not controlled by your societal pressures. You're not controlled by, the people around you. And you can really be your authentic self, whether that's for good or bad. So, now that, I was ousted, but I'm not under the the pressure of conforming and worshiping, a narcissistic god like Daryl. I say Daryl as a joke because I have a joke with a friend, and he didn't know his name. He forgot his name, and we just call him Daryl. There's nothing against Daryls, but it's kind of funny because it's a stupid inside joke to call Darren Daryl instead of bastard or bitch. So Daryl. So instead of not being forced to be content with his emotional neglect and abuse, I can now basically do as I please, and instead of worshiping him, I can now just do what I want. I can now speak freely and openly about him. I can share his true nature with people. So, there's that. Now, I pulled this out. I think you know why. But it's the cat card. It's the cat. Okay? And with this is basic. I'm pretty sure this is Egyptian. And it's, it's probably, they're probably drawing from the aspects of Bastet, which is another goddess that I sort of work with as well. Not terribly closely with, but I do work with her as well. I work with I work with a few different. I work across pantheons with pop pantheon figures and with Yeah, pop pantheon and across pantheons as well. So I don't just stick with one pantheon. Which just means like a group of gods. It's like a group of gods in that tradition. Like the Greek pantheon, like Zeus, the Olympians like Zeus, Artemis, Athena, and all them. And then the Egyptian pantheon, which is like Sekhmet, Bastet, Ra, and the Hamitic gods, the Egyptian gods. And then like pop pantheon are like figures from like media, figures or literature, which I don't read, but if I did read, there were probably figures from books that I could probably connect with and incorporate into my pop pantheon as well. So, you know, the cat is just asking us to use our intuition, so then, because our intuition is probably our strongest force that we have. Even as humans, our intuition is probably, in a general sense, we now use our mental faculties. We don't really, we're not in tune with our body as much. We're not in tune to our physical senses. And like our gut feeling. That gut feeling that you have, that would be your intuition speaking to you. So if you come across somebody, like a random stranger, and you get like a weird gut feeling, like, oh, you know what, this person's kind of weird. You're getting a creepy vibe from them, but you don't know why. That's your intuition telling you that, hey, something's, keep your guard up instead of doing what you normally would do with other strangers. And that could be for a whole mess of things as well. But those are all the cards that I wanted to show you and talk about right now. There are 44 cards, and if you like tarot and oracle decks, and you also like animals, I would definitely recommend this deck for anybody getting into more spiritual or psychological, because just because it has a spiritual aspect of it doesn't mean you can't use oracle cards or tarot cards to get in tune with that inner knowing that maybe you're having trouble thinking because maybe you're having trouble of choosing something or choosing to do something, and you're chewing your head about it. Oracle cards and tarot cards are you can gain perspective with it, and they're just you can use them as like, okay, you know what, you can use them as a tool to get some insight into what you want to go for. At least the way I use it. And you can also use these as like meditation cards, or you can incorporate them into a magical practice if you practice any sort of magical practice, which I do, but I haven't used these cards yet for that sort of. I've only used them for readings, so I can use that. But this is gonna be a longer one to edit, so I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and I will talk to you all guys later.